Hey guys, Ash Lane here coming at you today talking Town Hall 9 hog attacks. More specifically, we're going to be focusing on where to send in your hogs from. So I want to look at 3 replays, well actually 2 replays, and hopefully we can go ahead and plan out a live attack and hopefully be successful with it towards the end of the episode. But first we're going to go ahead and look at a replay from our last war here in Clash with Ash. That's where Vexthal, my Town Hall 9 account, lives. So we'll go over my 2 raids, 2 3-star raids using hog attacks, using pretty much the same army both times, and it's against these more widespread out Town Hall 9 bases. Very popular anti-3 base designs here that we're going to be attacking, and what I want to talk about today, like I said, is where to attack from with the hogs. So we're going to be focusing on the hog lanes on these bases, so the areas where we deploy the hogs that we want to avoid these double giant bomb areas, either avoid them with the hogs, or we're going to go ahead and detonate those with our kill squad, with the squad that with, you know, the heroes and the golems. That's where we're going to enter the base, trying to deploy some of these areas, and where we can't get our kill squad to, we want to try to avoid with the hogs. Now, when you look at a base, an easy way 9 times out of 10 to figure out the safest area to deploy the hogs, or how to deploy the hogs strategically, is go ahead and look at the most dense area of units, of buildings, of anything, defensive structures, any structures. And that means, obviously, because it's so dense, there's probably a lesser likelihood for there to be giant bombs in that area. So that's going to be your ideal hog lane. But if there is, like a base like this, for example, where there is really no ideal hog lane because there could be double giant bombs almost anywhere on this map, that's why I wanted to start with this attack, because this base here really requires the attacker to surgically deploy his hogs. So you'll see I'm going to start deploying them around 4, I think, 4 o'clock near that town hall, because there's going to be a hidden Tesla that I didn't expect to be there. And when that pops up, I try to save those wizards, but it's too late. So at this point in the attack, I know I have not triggered any giant bombs, so there's a lot left on the map. So that's why I'm going to be sure to surgically deploy my hogs, meaning I'm going to trickle them in from the perimeter, starting at around, like I said, 4 o'clock, and then we're going to work our way counterclockwise. Now, why are we ending at 9 o'clock? Well, there's a lot of open areas. That means a lot of giant bombs. If our hogs are going to die, we want them to die close to the end of the raid rather than the beginning. So the idea here is I'm waiting. Why am I waiting so long? Well, I want, in these wide open bases, you have to be patient and you have to wait on your hog deployment. You want the defenses to be locked in on your golems and your heroes and not your hogs. Now you'll notice that double giant bombs just tore through about a half a dozen or so of my hogs, but because I deployed them in a staggered motion, they were actually fine. Now I did bunch up my hogs at the very end of that. It wasn't too surgical, to be honest with you. Why did I do that? Well, because I only had 2 big areas to cover with my hogs. If you to break the base down into quadrants, I only had 2 quadrants left, and I had 2 heal spells. So I spread my hogs nice and wide, and I hope they didn't bunch, but they kind of did bunch because there was a hidden Tesla in the north of the map, so that caused them to bunch up. But either way, I pulled it off. Let's go see a more traditional type of hog attack. Now look at this base. I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow here. You can see this would be a great hog lane here, because look at how dense the units are, starting from the dark elixir storage all the way up to the gold storage. There doesn't look to be any giant bomb areas except for next to that expo. But even with the expo there, you can see there's spaces over here, there's spaces near the expo over here, there's tons of wide open areas near the wizard towers, this area all over here, tons of open areas. That's recipe for disaster deploying your hogs into that. So coming in over here in the northwest would be a really bad idea with my hogs. So instead, I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to hit the base with the hogs from around the south. health. So I still want to get to this queen though, but you know what? When you're rolling with 3 golems on a stoned GOHO, you have the liberty of entering the base not directly into the queen, because your troops, if you use earthquakes or jump spells, can actually access the queen on their own. They can make their way into the base a little bit, so you don't have to rely so heavily on the on attacking right directly into the queen. So you can see 3 golems, a nice wide spread. I'm going to lose 1 golem not going to the center of the base because I used an extra wide spread to take out that cannon up north, but backing it up with a wizard up there actually does a decent amount of damage, that golem and the wizard, and they actually stay alive for a bit. So my queen's going to funnel in. She kind of took her time there, but no big deal. Going to drop the rage spell, and you can see I've set the table really nicely to take advantage of that hog lane here. So here come my hogs. This is definitely not a surgical deployment. I'm just spamming them, but look at this. I'm just going to keep an eye on the hogs, make sure they're not running into any unexpected danger. I'll put my heal spell in the center of the map. That way I can catch some golems maybe, a little bit of my heroes, maybe keep a wizard alive. You never know. When your kill squad can cross paths with your hogs and you're able to use a heal spell on both, it's always great bang for your buck. So you can see the hogs finally run into that lethal double giant bomb, but I do have a few little tiny groups of hogs still alive, and they're actually going to barely hold on to clean up some of these defenses that are remaining on the board, but most of the units are already off the table there, and I still have the queen's ability to use. Going to go ahead and start dropping some goblins. Now the problem with this raid is the one thing I would definitely change, and for this live raid that we're going to do in a minute, I'm definitely going to change this, but I would recommend always saving at least 3, 4, 5, even 6 hogs for the back end of the attack. Unless you're really going into a really heavy area, there's really no need to drop 20 hogs in one area. Save 6, that way they can help with the cleanup a little bit. Not cleanup per se, but like you saw in that attack, there was 2 or 3 defensive units still standing at the end, and that's just a lot of work for your heroes to have to do. You're really relying on them to have a decent amount of health. So let's go ahead. Let me just check to make sure what base I have called here. It is 28. Okay, so here's 28. Let's go ahead and look at the base. It's a really easy base. It's a kind of a trophy base. It's not really even an anti-3. So we're just going to go ahead and attack it. And even though it's not the most impressive base in the world, you can see the double giant bomb areas where they may be. And I do know there's a hound in the clan castle because I did take a quick look at that replay there. So I'm going to go ahead and lure the hound. I'm going to try to avoid those double giant bomb areas, and I think I can get a lot of bang for my buck with these earthquake spells. And you'll see how I brought 1 giant to distract a couple point damage units when I deploy my hogs. So lured out the clan castle. This is a live raid, so excuse the commentary if I get a little bit distracted. So I'm putting an anchor of an archer way over here on this builder hut, and then I'm just going to go ahead and drop the golems here. So 3 golems. I have the lava hound is going to be redirected there, and then my wizards are down on the map. I'm going to put my queen down so she takes out that lava hound. I'm just going to delay a little bit here. There's no real rush in the entry point in the beginning of your raid. Now, why did I attack from where I attacked from? Well, it gives me easy access to the queen, and I knew I could bust open this wall area, but most importantly, I have a beautiful hog lane from around noon to around 4 o'clock. You'll see when I deploy them in just a second here. So here's the rage spell. Boom, that went well. I'm going to drop the giant. The giant is down. He's distracting the archer and the cannon, and then all my hogs are going to come in. This time I'm holding back 6 hogs, just like I talked about. Losing a few hogs to traps. Use the king ability. What are we doing here? Okay, so things are looking pretty good here. Hogs are making their way towards the Barbarian King. Barbarian King is always tricky. I'm going to deploy the rest of the hogs here, and then I'm going to be ready with my my queen's ability if I need to, but it looks like everything is beautiful right now. Everything's really working out great. You can see I have tons of hogs left on the board. Granted, I don't like having to engage the enemy king all by himself with the hogs, because you can take out a few few of them on his own, but it's really not the end of the world. I have a lot of hogs left. I have a lot of cleanup ready. I have my queen's ability still to use. My barbarian king is still alive, and that was a pretty easy base again, but you can see what I'm talking about here. Where to deploy your hogs in relation to your kill squad, right? So I'm just going to let this go. Looks like I don't even need my queen's ability, but I want you guys to focus next time you see a base that you want to hog against. I want you to break up the base into quadrants in your mind and then think to yourself, how can I take out the archer queen and the clan castle with my kill squad? Hopefully detonate a bomb or two, and then where is the most dense area on the map to deploy my hogs? That's what you want to look for. You want to look for that lane, that line of units, whether they're defenses or anything else. Look at this Golemite. Is he going to take it down? I hope so. Or, no, don't snipe him. Don't snipe him. Oh, they sniped the Golemite. But I pulled off the 3-star. That's 3 3-stars in a row. Like I said, not the hardest bases in the world, but hopefully you guys have an idea at some good strategy on choosing where to deploy your hogs into a base at Town Hall 9. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care.